We have spent a lot of time talking about the Ohio State football players that will definitely be first-round picks in the upcoming NFL draft. In that conversation has not been Zach Harrison. Will he be a first-round pick? Does he have a chance to be one? What kind of pro will he be once he's drafted into the National Football League? We'll discuss all that next here on Locked On Buckeyes.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Tuesday, April 25th in the year 2023, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. During today's episode, I will tell you what I think Zach Harrison will be at the next level. And does DeJuan Jones have a chance to be a first-round pick in this year's draft? But before we get to any of that, Zach Harrison is a player that has been under an interesting microscope as a defensive end at Ohio State. Think about to maybe 10 years ago, at least 8 years ago. You got Joey Bosa that comes in. You got Sam Hubbard that's there. You got Nick Bosa that's there. You got Chase Young that's there. Now, some of you might say, Jay, why are you putting Sam Hubbard in the conversation with the Bosa brothers and Chase Young? Three of them are elite. Samuel Hubbard was just solid. Really, a really good college football player that did his job consistently. No, he was not the elite like the Bosa brothers or Chase Young, but he was solid, man. Really, really good at playing the football. So Ohio State has a string of these guys that comes in and that play well, they progress, they get better, they get developed, and they're really good. Zach Harrison's a guy that's coming in, and he gets recruited by Ohio State, understands the track record of success recently at the DN position. People see the 5-star rating that he has from numerous recruiting databases, and they're saying, oh, this guy is the next big thing. Along the way, along his career at Ohio State, he has had to deal with a lot of negative attention about his play. He was probably never going to be the kind of guy that was going to live up to the hype. He was probably never going to be the kind of player to develop into being the type of defensive end that Ohio State football fans and some analysts believed he could be or maybe he needed to be. But Zach Harrison played good ball, played his best ball his final year at Ohio State. And he has the right mindset, a good mindset about him going into the National Football League. And it comes from a quote from an interview that he did. I believe this came after the Ohio State Pro Day. And he's not focused on the doubters. He's focused on the believers. And I do think that's an interesting thing. A lot of people want to prove the doubters wrong. But Zach Harrison's taking a positive approach to this thing. And he's saying, I want to prove the believers right. Focus on the negative? No. Let's focus on the people that believed in me, that believe in me, that want to help me be the best player I can be and believe that I can be a better football player at the next level. A lot of us focus on the negative. Zach Harrison is focusing on the positive. Here's a quote from him in regards to what he is, what he can be, kind of his mindset right now. Quote, I really do think the best is yet to come. And right now, I have that drive to get it. I really want to prove people who believed in me right, end quote. Think about you. Like, I'm not trying to say, like, I'll get more to Zach Harrison. Think about you. A lot of people, I said it earlier, but I think it needs to be said again. A lot of people out there want to say, oh, you don't believe in me? I'm going to focus on you. And they're going to sit here and say all of these things. You don't believe in me. My mama didn't believe in me. That guy in third grade didn't believe in me. My ninth grade English teacher didn't even like English, but because my ninth grade English teacher said I would never amount to anything in life and I would never be anything great, or I would never be this, never be that, all of a sudden, I'm going to use that as fuel. We have seen a player like Michael Jordan. Really, I love watching Mike play. Like give me YouTube videos, highlights. Let me watch Mike play the game. These interviews that former players are doing, talking about their time playing against Michael Jordan. Mike would find different fuel from different things out there. And even Michael Jordan would find fuel and would create narratives to fuel himself. We see these things all the time. I heard it in The Last Dance as well. Phenomenal documentary, might I add. But some people want to focus on the negative. Wouldn't it be a wiser thing to kind of look at those that believe in you and say, ooh, they believe in me. Ooh, they think I could get this thing done. Ooh, why would I focus on the negative? Because the negative kind of wears me down and bogs me down and weighs on me. Let's focus on the positive things. And I think for a player like Zach Harrison, who has a lot of doubters, who is a player that is someone that a lot of people are going to be out here saying, man, I didn't believe in you at Ohio State when you got there. I didn't believe in you at Ohio State in year 2. Your final year at Ohio State, we saw some good ball, best ball you ever played at Ohio State. But man, I still never believed in you. Wouldn't that be mentally taxing and bog you down and weigh you down and ultimately be like, man, I can't do this every day, man. I can't be relying on y'all to fuel me. I can't be relying on y'all to help me get to where I want to be, to use you as fuel and motivation in these workouts, in these interviews. I can't do that. Let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on the positive things that people have said about me. And I like that, Harrison. I have been critical of his play. One, it's my job to do so, but also, like, even before hosting this year podcast, I was critical of this cat because I was like, okay, cool. Like, regardless of the recruiting databases, and back then, I didn't really check them as much as I do now. I didn't care about them. I use them now to kind of get info and to kind of prepare for the shows when we're going to have John Garcia Jr. on the show. They're great tools to utilize. But at the same time, you cannot use those things to gauge how a player is going to play at college, in the NFL, and you cannot use those things to gauge really anything. So when it comes to Zach Harrison, he's had to deal with a lot of negative people, and a lot of people that deal focus on the negative or deal with the negative and say, "Oh, the doubters are going to be my motivation." Some people might end up having mental health problems. I'm not sure, but some people might do that. Focus on those that believe in you. Focus on the believers. I believe Zach Harrison has the right mindset going to the National Football League. And ultimately, as he is someone that I don't think will be a first-round pick, like some think he could have been a couple years ago, or he would have developed into a few years ago when he entered Ohio State, I do believe Zach Harrison has a chance to be a good football player. You ain't got to be a first-round pick to make millions in the NFL, to make a lot of money, generational wealth to help you and your family. No, you can do it by being a later round pick. You got to grind a little bit harder. You got to work a little bit. Now everybody got to grind. Everybody got to work. Sometimes you got to grind and work to simply make the roster. We'll got to wait and see what Zach Harrison will be at the next level in the National Football League. But I have my own thoughts about what I think he will be, projecting what kind of pro he will be once he's drafted in this year's NFL draft. What are my thoughts about what Zach Harrison will be? Where do I think he'll get drafted? We will discuss that next right here on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Grand slams, no hitters, and double plays are back. And there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn to sign up, place your first bet, and sign up to get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. So don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Once again, go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Thanks for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. At the end of today's show, make sure you check out Locked On's NFL Mock Draft Special. It's here, and it's bigger than ever. Follow along all 32 teams' first pick in a 6-episode ultimate mock draft experience only Locked On can deliver. Yours truly will be featured on this mock draft, providing analysis on CJ Stroud, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Paris Johnson Jr. All episodes are available now on Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So Zach Harrison's a player. I've been critical. You've been critical. And as we roll on with Locked On Buckeyes here on a Tuesday, let's try to get away from the things we have previously thought about Zach Harrison as far as like, hey, look, we're going to always be critical of him when he's on the football field. Let's kind of get that out the window and project into the future, looking into our own personal crystal ball about what we think Zach Harrison will be in the National Football League. There was a time many people said Zach Harrison would be a first-round pick. There's also a time that many people believe that Zach Harrison was going to be a day 3 pick. Now, if you want to say concretely day 1 or concretely day 3, I can't hop on either of those trains. Day 1 first-round pick, no, I don't think at all. I think the Buckeyes have they have multiple first-round picks. Can't jump ahead to what we're going to talk about in the very next segment. But I think the Buckeyes will have numerous first-round picks in this draft. I do not believe Zach Harrison will be one of them. At the same time, I do believe Zach Harrison is a player that when it comes to rounds 2 or 3, he's probably going to be around 3 guy, maybe around 4 guy. So definitely for sure, Zach Harrison could be a latter part of day 2 picked on Friday. I do think for sure he's going to be a day 3 pick, early day 3 pick. On day 2 of the draft, let's go backwards a little bit. Day 1 on Thursday, the draft coverage, I believe, begins at 7 on some places. The draft actually begins at 8. You will get round 1. I believe there's 31 picks. I think one team had to forfeit their pick. So there'll be 31 picks on Thursday. First round only will be on Thursday. Rounds 2 and 3 of the draft will be on Friday evening. I believe that starts at 7. Rounds 4 through 7, those will be on Saturday. I believe that day of the draft starts at 12. So you got 3 days of the draft, and Zach Harrison is probably going to be picked later in the evening on Friday or around lunchtime on Saturday. That's where I think Zach Harrison will be. I don't think he'll go in the 5th round. I think playing at Ohio State and playing that level of competition and his better play, the better play we saw from him during this season, I ultimately think it's going to aid him and help him to be a better pro and to be the kind of guy you want to be at Ohio, to be drafting at that time period in the upcoming NFL draft. There were still questions about him. Like, you talk about the length. Okay, straight, great. Long runs, long, big wingspan. Cool, great, cool. Talk about him not running the 40-yard dash. All I heard going into was Zach Harrison is going to kill the measurables. The vertical, do a good job. The 3-cone drill, do a good job. The 40-yard dash, do a good job. And I'm questioning if Zach Harrison is truly as fast as everybody says he is. Why? If you fast and if you healthy, well, one, if you're fast and you can get out there and do it, but you're going to be out there doing your thing, running that 40 and all that stuff. I understand they said he tweaked his hamstring at the combine. Cool. He didn't run the 40 at the pro day either. And a guy at defensive end where speed is something that can aid you and help you and can literally help you move up draft boards, you would have thought Zach Harrison is going to do that. Didn't do it. So Zach Harrison to me is a round 3 guy, round 4 guy, early round 5 at the latest. At the latest. Which still wasn't bad. Going to get a contract. You're going to sign that thing. You're going to go to rookie minicamp, then minicamp, training. You're going to be able to do a lot of things once he's drafted into the National Football League. Now, when it comes to projecting what he'll be at the next level, I kind of do it this way. I kind of look at, can he be a franchise defensive end? I don't think so. I don't think Zach Harris is going to be a guy that can be someone that a team can bring in, especially where he's getting drafted. Will he develop into being somebody that can be a big piece of the pie, a fixture at D end in the NFL? he can be. I think he's mainly going to be an NFL journeyman. Play for 3, 4, 5 teams, probably 4 to 5 teams. Multiple different contracts go around. Maybe spend some time with the Browns and the Bengals. I don't know. I'm not sure. Just trying to help people out here in Ohio that like Zach Harrison and want him to play for their NFL team, their favorite NFL team. I do believe Zach Harrison has a future in the NFL, and I'm not going to sit here and be super, super negative and critical. Ryan Roberts will be with us later in the week, and he'll be able to break down Zach Harrison, the player, the pros, the cons, what Zach Harrison does well, what he doesn't do so well, and ultimately what kind of pro he will be. I wanted to get this out here before Ryan came on the show. So once Ryan is on the show, you can hear, well, here's a guy that covers this stuff, that does this stuff for a living. What does Ryan think as far as where Zach Harrison is going to go in the upcoming NFL draft? My thing with Zach Harrison, focus on the fundamentals. He has the strength. I mean, he repped 225 pounds on the bench, did that thing 25 times. Like, that boy's not weak. And we saw that. There were times this year when he had to go down and play D-tackle and did it very, very well. So Zach Harrison, to me, is a player, when he's at the next level, when he's playing in the NFL, probably going to be an NFL journeyman, play for 4 or 5 teams, probably be somebody. Could he be an all-pro? Yes, he can be. Can be. I say that loosely. I don't really think he's going to be an all-pro. I don't think he's going to lead a team in sacks ever in the NFL. I don't think he's ever going to lead the team in tackles for loss. Definitely not tackles for a defensive lineman. I don't think he's that kind of player. I think he's more like he can do what a Jonathan Cooper did coming out of Ohio State. Jonathan Cooper, I'm higher on Zach Harrison than I was Jonathan Cooper coming out of the National Football League. But what did Jonathan Cooper do? He started grinding, started working, proving himself, proving his worth, proving that he was worth spending money on. And the Denver Broncos got a really good player. Also, they put him in the right situation to succeed on the field, and he did what was asked of him so that he could be successful on the field. He probably got about a 15, 20-pound gap, probably 15 pounds between Cooper and Harrison. So Cooper can be a little bit more versatile in some ways than Zach Harrison can be at the next level. Outside of all that, I do think Zach Harrison can be a good pro. Will he be a good pro? Probably. NFL journeymen, they're good pros. NFL guys that are playing for 4 or 5 teams that are solid pieces that the fans in that city love them, that can be Zach Harrison. I'm being honest with you. Like, I get what we use to criticize him in college. Not sure if that's the best thing to utilize to try to figure out the best way to analyze him as the player that he is when he played at The Ohio State University. Zach Harrison, a phenomenal football player. Probably won't be a first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft. It's not the end of the world. He'll still get drafted. He'll still make millions, and he has a good chance to be a big piece of the pie for an NFL team or multiple NFL teams during his professional football career. Zach Harrison probably won't be a first-round pick. Does DeJuan Jones have a realistic shot to be one? We discuss that next as we close out today's episode of Locked on Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus has a selection of pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, and more. And the best service in Central Ohio. Billiards Plus also can set you up with a brand new top-of-the-line grill that will last for generations. We all know how hard it is with the supply chain issues this year and getting certain things shipped on time. So when it comes to ordering that one big gift for someone you love, check out Billiards Plus and get there early this year. Billiards Plus carries the best pool tables from Brunswick, Olahausen, Canada, Billiards, and more. Plus, top-of-the-line grills from PK, Napoleon, Memphis, and the Griddle. That will be the last grill you own. Seriously, these grills stand the test of time. No matter the season, Billiards Plus has you covered for all your indoor and outdoor entertainment needs. Visit their showroom on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin. Check them out at billiards-plus.com. Billiards Plus, family owned and operated for generations. Thanks for making Locked on Buckeyes your first listen every day. The everydayers don't want to miss the draft coverage you can only find here on Locked on Buckeyes. And following the end of the first round, I have a question. I need some feedback in the YouTube comment section. I'm thinking about going live at the end of the first round on Thursday evening, instantly reacting to the first round, the Buckeyes that got drafted, and just my quick reactions to those selections. If you want to go live, it'll be probably around 11 p.m. Eastern on Thursday night. It'll be a show. We actually have a couple shows coming out on Friday. We'll learn more about that later in the week. But if you want a live instant reaction, as soon as the first round ends, the first round of the NFL draft, let me know in the YouTube comment section because I'm thinking about going live. Haven't gone live in quite a long time. Something as big as getting drafted in the NFL draft in the first round deserves an instant reaction that I want to provide here for you on Locked On Buckeyes. Zach Harrison's a good player. DeJuan Jones, a really good player. But as I think about closing up this episode here, wrapping up today's episode of Locked On Buckeyes, just one thought came into my mind. Talking about linemen, one D lineman, one O lineman. Both played on the outside of the D, one on the outside of the D line, one on the outside of the O line. Will DeJuan Jones be a first round pick? Last week we got a good thought and good, real honest opinion analysis on DeJuan Jones, the football player. And that kind of made me think that he will not be a first round pick. There were numerous mock drafts that I've looked at, and maybe you have looked at them as well, and you're thinking, man, DeJuan Jones is going to be a first-round pick, man. Like, when I start seeing, 24, 25, 28, I'm like, is he really that good? Is a guy that I watched play football for the past few years at Ohio State, has he really moved up draft boards that much? Do people really need a guy like DeJuan Jones to be in the first round? Is he really one of the top 5 offensive tackles in this year's NFL draft? These are thoughts going through my head. Then I had to kind of step back a little bit, thinking about what we saw at Ohio State over the past 2 years as a starter. I think to myself, did I see a guy who can be a first-round pick in the draft? I think so. I'm not trying to sit here and say, no, I think he can be. I was probably more round 2, like the latest round 3 guy going into the season. At the end of the season, I was probably more a round 2 or round 3 guy. But the mock drafts started to sway or move my decision to be DeJuan Jones, definitely a first-round pick. The more I think about it, the more I hear about him, probably not. And sometimes it doesn't have to do with the talent on the field. Sometimes it has to deal with the makeup, or maybe the decisions that are made, maybe you're influenced to make, or maybe you make by yourself. Maybe those things detour people from making you a first-round pick. It's a lucky group, an exclusive group to be a first-round pick. Ohio State leads everybody in the entire country with the most first-round picks. There's probably going to be 3 this year. I believe Ohio State has 87 first-round picks all time. That leads in every school. Following them, USC has 84, Alabama 75, Notre Dame 70, Miami 65. I think Miami's came throughout a great run between the 80s and early 2000s. Notre Dame, they're blue blood to me, one of the most prestigious college football programs in the entire country. Alabama, USC, enough said. Before Ohio State to have a 3-player lead in this group, man, it's crazy. Alabama will probably have multiple first-round picks. I don't believe they'll have 10 or more. USC could have a first-round pick. Georgia will have multiple. Ohio State's probably going to keep the lead. There's probably going to be 3 guys, definitely. Stroud will probably be drafted first, and then Paris Johnson Jr., and then Jackson Smith and Jigba. There's a good shot, a chance for DeJuan Jones to be picked between picks 23 to 30. 23 is being generous. I probably would say 25 to 30, 25 to 31, because I don't believe there's a pick number 32 in the draft. I don't think it's going to happen, man. I don't at all. From things I've heard, there have been some decisions that he has made after his final year at Ohio State playing career was done. I have people wondering and questioning if it would be a wise decision for them to make to select DeJuan Jones in the first round of the upcoming NFL draft. I heard one person say they wouldn't draft him I wouldn't go that far. But I would say this. Make sure you have people in-house to help this man be a good pro. If you don't, things could not go DeJuan Jones' way. He might not get a second contract. Just got to wait and see. But first round pick DeJuan Jones, I wouldn't pick him there. I don't think he'll be there. Round 2 is probably a sweet spot. At the worst, round 3. If he goes round 4, there are probably going to be some conversations on these networks that people are having about DeJuan Jones that are exposing some things that NFL teams have dug up that are why this young man fell in the draft. Not being a first round is not the end of the world. Zach Harrison won't be one. I don't think DeJuan Jones will be one either. Guys, love being back. It's a Tuesday show. Plan on having John Garcia Jr. with us, I believe, on tomorrow's show. Also, planning on having a fun show on Thursday. And then Friday, possibly a double dipper. Possibly on the audio side, a live reaction to the first round. And also trying to get my guy Ryan Roberts to come on here as well to kind of, do his thing to discuss what we can get. What kind of pro prospects Zach Harrison, Ronnie Hickman, and Cam Brown will be when they're drafted into the National Football League in a few short days.